Here's how you drive people insane. First thing you gotta do, you raise them in a society which thinks it's perfectly okay to have an imaginary friend. As long as you call him God. Maybe you'll call him something else. Maybe you'll call him Allah. Maybe you'll call him Krishna. Or maybe you'll call him Jehovah. Whatever. Names don't really matter. The point is, you have to tell them that having this imaginary friend is totally normal. Next, you tell them that they're inherently gross and dirty and somehow wrong. No matter how you spin that, that's the basic message you have to get across. Then, you tell them that the only way that they can ever be better is by joining your particular brand of religion. You tell them that they need to fix themselves, and the only way that they can fix themselves is by chanting whatever names of God that you think that they have to chant, or by bowing at whatever time of day or this particular person. Then, when you're done telling them what time to wake up, what to wear, when to bow down, and to whom to bow down, and that they have to bow down, then you have to tell them what to say. And tell them that if they say these particular words over and over again, they will become better people and happier people. But that's the most important thing, isn't it? You gotta tell them that they're going to become happier in the end, one way or another, that their entire life is working towards this wonderful happiness that they couldn't possibly experience without your particular brand of whatever it is that you're trying to sell. In addition to that, you gotta tell them, you gotta really get them to understand that their life is shit. Let me give you an example. Your life is shit. Your life really sucks. I don't know, sometimes you feel kind of happy, but you know, for the most part, that your life sucks. You're just fucking miserable. So, what are you gonna do about it? Well, why don't you join my particular religion, or my particular way of life? Because, see, I have a secret to tell you. See, unlike these other idiots around that you see, I know the truth, and I can help you. I can help you get away from this shitty pile of shit life that you're living. You hate it. I know you hate it. And even though sometimes you don't even know that you hate it, you hate it. But I can set you free. I can set you free if you follow these rules. You gotta convince them that it's completely normal. And the way you do that is by making it socially acceptable. Let me give you an example. If I just decided that I'm going to repeat the same 3 words 1,728 times per day, I would probably be locked up in a mental institute and somebody would be like, yeah, you need a therapist. However, if you tell people that these 3 words that they need to repeat 1,728 times per day is some kind of mantra that comes from ancient Vedic knowledge and that will uplift them and give them spiritual insight, that becomes completely legitimate. By giving it cultural value and using words like mantra and spiritual, all of a sudden, saying Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare 1,728 times per day isn't crazy. No, it's meditation. And instead of people saying, wow, man, that sounds like OCD to me, I think, that might not be very mentally healthy, nope, you're crazy, bye, people will actually say, oh my god, yeah, like, I totally want to spend every day of my life spending hours and hours and hours chanting these 3 words over and over again so that I can attain, like, some spiritual enlightenment. Yeah, of course I want to join your religion. Totally legit. Or how about this one? If I suddenly started worshipping that particular tree across my yard, and I'm like, this tree has healing properties, this tree can take you to outer planets, it'll save your life, it is pure and perfect, and if you worship this tree, bow down to it, make little clothes, little skirts that you can put around this tree, and then like go around it singing a song and chanting these mantras, then you will go to the heavenly abode. You will be transported after death into this like totally cool place. If I did that, people would probably put me in a straitjacket and be like, yeah, okay, let me just inject you with that because you're crazy. But here's a secret. If you say to people that this particular tree, let's call it Tulsi, is a sacred tree because it was once a woman, and because of some shit, she became a tree. but it's a pure tree. This woman was in contact with God himself, Krishna, and Krishna made her into a tree. And now, by being around this tree, we can all of a sudden become pure devotees and pure souls. And what we have to do is walk around this tree twice a day or whatever, how many times, and chant this particular song and this particular mantra and put this particular leaf and this particular water from at this particular time and say, yes, it's all legit because it's an ancient tradition. You know, we have to respect this because it's an ancient tradition from a Vedic time and it's beyond our understanding. I am going to worship this tree and I am going to become a greater person because of it. Yeah. Another thing that you can do is tell people that in order to be legitimately part of your group, they gotta change their names. Why? Well, because by doing that, you erase any identity that they had before, and then you can start from scratch and create whatever it is, that person, that new person that you want them to be. Joe's parents, when he was born, decided to name him Joe. But when he decided to join the Hare Krishnas, they told him that he had to get initiated if he wanted to be a legit devotee. So now, Joe's name is, I don't know, Jagannath or Jagadish. And that becomes a transformation. Why? Well, by changing people's name, what you're essentially doing is taking away their identity. And by taking away their original identity, you can mold them into whatever you want them to be later on. By taking away their identity, you are able to tell them things and get them to do things for you that most people, having their identity intact, wouldn't normally do. Like, for example, I don't know, wearing one very thin piece of cloth around their legs when it's midwinter, like a dhoti when you're up in, I don't know, England. Most people wouldn't do that. Why? Because their balls would freeze. But, because you got this person to change their name, you told them that they're going to have a better life and that your brand of whatever it is you're trying to sell them is going to make them happier, they're willing to do stupid things to their body. So, this would normally get people landed in an insane asylum, but because you called it religion and you said it's ancient and you've said people need to respect your culture, no one's going to have the nerve to tell you that you're insane. In fact, I'm going to tell you a little secret. Well, it's not really a secret, but since most people ignore that fact, it's pretty much a secret. You can get away with pretty much anything if you do it under the name of religion and culture. Let me give you an example. With the Hare Krishnas, what they do is that they tell you that sex is bad. I've already made a video about that, so you can watch that video if you want me to go into it a little bit further. But basically, you have to be celibate. And if you want to have sex occasionally, you can become a grihasta and get a wife and then only have sex in order to make children. So, you have to try to stamp out any kind of sexual urges, even sexual thoughts are bad. You preach this to the person day in, day out. You lecture about it, you have it in stories, etc., 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 constantly telling them how they can't have sex and sex is bad, right? Next step, you make them the principal or a teacher of something called a gurukul, which is a school, which is usually in, I don't know, some obscure place in India, or the middle of nowhere on a farm in some place in Canada, or the USA, or Germany, whatever. Doesn't really matter where it is, as long as there are a bunch of kids there, and it's, like, really far from civilization. The next thing that happens is that Mr. Really Sexually Suppressed ends up fucking all the little kids. Well, that's okay. Because even though he's now a pedophile, as long as he remembers Krishna and sincerely chants his rounds before death, he will go back to Godhead. Hooray! Jai! Now, in the real world, a pedophile would probably be put in jail. But because you've allowed this to happen in some obscure place in India or whatever, you can cover it up. If you're not able to cover it up, let's say, I don't know, 500 kids grow up and start filing, I don't know, a lawsuit or some shit, and they start speaking out about it. I mean, you thought that, you know, because they were kids, they would just forget it or get over it or whatever. But turns out they didn't get over it, and they're a little bit fucked up. Happens. Well, so they filed a lawsuit, and there are, like, loads of them. What can you do? Well, what you can do is form a child protection team. Or, form some kind of thing that calls itself a child protection team and say, look, you guys, yeah, shit happened, but we've got this going on. Like, we care. We genuinely care about our kids. So we formed this child protection team to do its own investigation. We don't need the cops. See, we're a legit religion. We're a legit organization. And we have acknowledged that shit happened. Yeah, there were pedophiles. No, we didn't put them in jail. Yeah, some of them are still giving lectures. Yeah, that guy, yeah, well, he's running a whole temple now. But the thing is, we punish them. We punish them in our own way. Like, you don't need to put them in jail. We don't need all these trials and shit. We don't need to give the kids all that money for therapy. They'll just have to, they can just chant Hare Krishna. They can just chant Hare Krishna and be happy. There's no need for police to get involved. There's no need for the government to get involved. We, as a legitimate religion and organization, have our own child protection office, and our child protection office is taking care of the situation. Yeah? And because we've acknowledged that mistakes were made in the past by certain mentally deranged individuals. It wasn't our organization. It was just these certain individuals. It happens. It happens in the Catholic Church. If it happens there, then you kind of expect it to happen in smaller identities, but at least we're admitting it. And then what you do is you pay off certain individuals, give them a couple of $100, no biggie, make it all go away, and that's it. Yeah, I know, that's all it takes, really, to get the police off your back. Your organization is not held responsible. You don't even have to pay. You get the life members and the householders to pay all of the money to those kids who are going to be needing therapy for the next 40 years. And that's fine. Ta-da! Getting away with pedophilia. All right, religion. And sure, some kids will commit suicide. Occasionally you get some people speaking out and stuff, trying to stain the good name of your institution. But that can be easily covered up. And you can sort of shrug it off. Because there's always going to be people who come to your organization and are like, please teach me, master. And you'll always be there to teach them how to be fucking insane. Because no matter what happens, there are always going to be certain lost individuals looking for some kind of guidance in the world. And there are always going to be people like the Hare Krishnas, ready and willing to provide their own special brand of bullshit to fuck up the world. Bye!